Scriabin's 8th sonata is his longest and perhaps most strange sonata. In this sonata analysis video, we're going to discuss Sonata 8 in terms of background information, structure, harmony, and motifs. Afterwards, you can listen to the piece using my video of the score with highlighted themes. This piece is nicknamed the Enigmatic Sonata. While Scriabin's other late-era sonatas exhibit aesthetics of either lightness or darkness, this sonata is an exception in its own category. Scriabin said it was his most tragic work. The markings tragic and agitated support Scriabin's remarks, and it's difficult to speculate any further about the meaning behind the sonata, as those are the only two French markings in the entire piece. This piece pushes the boundaries of sonata form with a recap that begins with theme 2 rather than theme 1. The boundaries between large sections are somewhat unclear, leaving the structure open to interpretation. In the development section at tempo marking Meno Vivo, we get a beautiful iteration of theme 2 that sounds like paradise. The two blissful episodes of the development section are abruptly followed by a thundering section marked tragic first and agitated the second time. The tragic agitated sections are followed by dance motifs that the piece ultimately ends with. The development section ends in a typical Scriabin fashion with two-note figures reminiscent of Sonata 5's fantastic motif, and a sudden collapse, similar to the end of the development section in Sonata 6. The recap begins with theme 2, and theme 1 is about as brief as it was in the Exposition. The coda has two sections of faster and faster dance motifs. The piece ends with a final iteration of theme 1, as well as a display of one of Scriabin's largest sets, and lastly a 9-chord using the lowest note on the piano. The harmony of the piece is remarkably strange. There are plenty of consonant uses of the mystic chord, but sprinkled throughout the piece there are sets related to the hexatonic scale, rare usage of the harmonic minor scale, and the opening featured chord is a double cluster set we might call C major minor 3rd, major minor 7th, or set 6Z44. Let's briefly discuss the hexatonic scale since I haven't mentioned it on this channel before. We might also call the hexatonic scale the augmented scale because it's made up of two augmented chords built a half step apart. Its interval pattern is made up of the repeating pattern +1 +3 or +3 +1. In theme 1, Scriabin uses a 5-note subset of the hexatonic scale called 521. Speaking about the harmony of this piece, Scriabin had this to say: "The harmony was drawn from nature, bridges between harmony and geometry, life visible and life unseen." You can watch my video on Scriabin's exceptional sets to learn more about the harmony of this sonata. The piece begins with a rising motif that is used sparingly in the work. The main theme 1 motif begins with consecutive minor sixths upward, and then outlines 5 notes of the hexatonic scale. Next, there's a classic flight motif which Scriabin uses in a later work. We also get a classic mysterious motif moving back and forth between half steps reminiscent of the mysterious motif in Sonata 5. Theme 2 presents a very prominent melody, and the response is a dyad motif voiced in diatonic fourths. Interestingly, the basic 2-note figure from theme 2 is foreshadowed in theme 1. This piece is a grand display of Scriabin's ability to develop and combine contrasting motifs together. It doesn't have any epic climaxes or overt storytelling to it. Instead, it's an enigma with perplexing harmony and a complex use of motifs. Learn more about Scriabin's atonality in my series and listen to the piece with the score with highlighted themes. Check out my website, join the Discord, like, comment, subscribe, and send me Bitcoin.